Blog Talk Radio.
You're listening to Avon, WIIFY Right Now Radio. WIIFY, What's in It for You Right Now Radio is the premier Avon radio show that's all about helping you right now. Here to help, motivate, train, inspire, and empower you in your Avon business. So get ready to take your business to the next level. Now here's your host, Avon Independent Sales Rep, Southeast Regional Makeup Maven, and National Executive Unit Leader, Lisa Monoson.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode. We are so excited that you're here and for all of your support. Tonight we've got a great show for you. We have Lori Yanuck, who is, and I hope, Lori, I said your name correctly, who is a Senior Executive Unit Leader with Replacing Your Full-Time Salary with Avon Earnings tonight. That's what she's going to talk to us about. Before we get a chance to get to know Lori and get into our questions, let me just give you a little bit of background about Lori's journey with Avon. She joined Avon almost 23 years ago to be a stay-at-home mom, which I think a lot of us can relate to that are in this business. She says she was on maternity leave from her position as a manager with Long John Silver's. She said she used to go door-to-door knocking on strangers' doors, and although she says she was really scared at first, she had a 2-year-old and a newborn at home that was motivating her to keep on knocking. So she said she would, and if she wanted to raise them at home. So she quickly learned that people on the other side of the door were really great. It wasn't quite a scary experience after she started to do it. Happy to have serviced once again, she felt really confident enough that she could replace her income with the unlimited earnings, that the potential that Avon was offering and still offers to this day. She says the more that she sold, the more that she earned. And best of all, folks, she says Avon has spoiled her all these years with all the wonderful things that she has earned, and for her children. She says, she has made friends for life. It's been an amazing blessing. She's felt confident enough that she replaced the full-time income with the unlimited earnings potential. She's been able to pay for food and clothing and medical and all the fun stuff you do with your children. And she said one of the things that was a really big blessing to her was that she was able to send her kids to private school. And she just recently retired her old vehicle and got herself a brand-new minivan, I guess just a few weeks ago or so. So congratulations, Lori, and welcome to the show. We're so excited you're here.
Thank you for having me, Lisa. I know I enjoy every time I'm on the show listening. I enjoy what I hear, and I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart that you put these shows on for all of us, because I know they're appreciated.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for agreeing to be on. I'm really happy that you've agreed to talk with us tonight. And did I pronounce your name correctly?
You did, and believe me, it's a pleasure to be on the call.
Well, thank you so much. Well, I bet you can share a lot with us how Avon, especially with 23 years of experience, how Avon has changed your life, and also add some inspiration for those that may be doubting themselves in the belief part or even in the business model. So we want to definitely share with them what it's done for you and what it can do for them. So we're going to jump right into the questions. And for those that have listened before to our program, you know the shows go very quick. They're only 30 minutes, so make sure you get out your notepad to take down notes, and I'll go ahead and ask the questions, and Lori's going to be so gracious to share. So we're going to go ahead and start right away, Lori, with if you could tell us, how did you develop your customers and build sales? Because I think that from the beginning, of course, with all the new people that might be listening, or even maybe somebody that's struggling to get their business off the ground, they kind of don't know where to begin. So where did you begin with developing your customers and building those sales?
Okay. I'm going to be wearing two hats to explain how to build your sales and your customer base. I'm going to go from my experience, which was I was a stay-at-home mom. I moved to a town where I didn't know anybody. So the manager that signed me up, after the suggestion of my mother-in-law to try Avon, it was her idea, after she signed me up, she said, well, who do you know in this area? Well, I didn't know anybody. So she said, oh, that's not a problem. Just go knock on doors. And she gave me a little note that said that, hi, I'm your new Avon lady. If you aren't home when I knocked, I'll be back. And then it had a little time in there to come back. And honestly, nobody answered the first time, but when I went back, they did answer the door, and they actually had an order. So so I had a little callback note in that bag that said I'd be back at a certain time, and you have to look at the weather report and say, so if you dropped it off on Tuesday, I went back on Thursday. I went between the hours of 4 p.m. and 7 because that's when people should be home. So I started one territory. I moved, then I found another section of town and another until I had 5. And by the time I had 5 territories in the area where I live, it was netting me almost $1,600 in sales. Then, now you have to remember that's 50% profit. So when people ask, can you replace your full-time salary? And I was telling Lisa earlier that I would just sit down and say, have I sold enough Avon before I place this order to pay the bills that are coming up in the next 2 weeks? And if I didn't, I got on the phone and I kept making those phone calls. So that's the way I did it. And I would have to say that that's probably the hardest way. But as I said, I was scared to death. But when you have motivation behind you, like if you hate your job now, why not take the day off that you have and go knock on doors and see how it goes? Now, if I were signing somebody up, I would tell them to do the who do you know list in the Believe in your Believe booklet, because if you make a list, guys, this is so important. Make a list of the people you know. You start with your family, your friends. I'm not going to go through the book with you, but it's who do you know? Who is your hairdresser? Who's on your bowling league? So that's how you build your customer sales. And guess what? I ask for referrals. Do you know somebody who might want an Avon brochure? So, Lisa, that's how I started my sales, my customers, and then building those sales from there, because the earnings were unlimited. I knew if I hit $1,550 that I was at 50%. So if I wanted $1,000, I needed to sell about $2,200 to pay for brochures and sales tools.
Awesome. Wow. So would you say, I know I'm going to ask this question kind of in between, did you how long did it take you to reach those type of levels to sell? You were saying within your first beginnings you were already doing $1,000, $1,600, or did that take you a little while to build it up, or was it pretty immediate because your goals were set high?
In less than a year, I was Honor Society. In less than a year. I didn't even know what Honor Society was, but I was the best new performer, and then they said, you reached Honor Society. That was pretty awesome your first year. And they were like, and it wasn't even a year. And I was like, oh, okay.
Wow, that's great. And, you know, back then they had territories, and now we don't have that anymore. So people can go anywhere, and we have the World Wide Web. So, you know, people that want to expand outside of just your neighborhoods, use the web as well. You've got person-to-person. I will attest to, and I'm sure you can too, Lori, that the personal experience with an Avon representative beats online anything. It really, I personally think that having that relationship is so important. You know, your customers appreciate that. But I guess in the new age, we do have some customers that are just going to be like, I just want to get my stuff, and I don't care from where, and they're going to order online. So utilize both. Some people still like that old-fashioned, come deliver my products and come sit with me and, you know, teach me the stuff. So did you do a lot of that type of consulting to help boost sales and add-on sales, and did you sit with people and go over products with them?
Yes. Yeah, I'd like to share that with you. I actually, one of the reasons I love doing the Avon was because I already use the product. Everybody loves Glimmer Sticks and so on. I won't go through our product line, but I already love the product, so it wasn't real hard for me to just already suggest a sell. So whenever they tell you to use the product, there's a reason. You can say, oh, that worked great for my cracked heels, or I had a dry spot and this worked great, and oh my gosh, this got rid of my puffy eyes. So they knew I wasn't going to lie to them because I was going to see them every 2 weeks. And so I actually knew how to do makeup only because I was self-taught by reading books. And I took that experience and I told the customers I would be more than happy to I learned our products, and that is the way that I was able to help them with their situation, whether they were dry or combination or oily skin, whatever it was, I was able to help them. And once you do that, once you pick their colors for them, once you help them with their skincare, you have a customer for life. So then we had a program called the Beauty Advisor, and now it's kind of like our pathway. So the help is still there, but I did self-taught because of the fact that so you guys are so lucky to have all that Avon offers now. So that's how I did the home consultations. And then all they did was picked up the phone. And, guys, another way to sell fragrance is to spritz people. I always bought one demo, and I wrote down their name and their phone number, and then I followed up with them and said, what did you think? Because guess what? They wore it all day and got compliments from people, and that's how I sold fragrance. But I know we don't have a lot of time, so we'll move on.
Yeah, well, it develops differently when we're talking fragrance. So they even say, like, if you were, to try any kind of fragrance, that you probably should wear it for a couple hours before you really make the decision. So I think that's why even when we put the samples in the bags, it's so crucial to follow up for the sale and ask how they liked it. A lot of times they're going to tell you, I didn't even try it yet. So it's important that you ask, and I think, like what you're saying, bringing that fragrance around and spritzing it on them, now it's on them. You don't have to know whether they use it. You put it on them. So that's great for adding on sales. Let's talk about helpers real quick. Do you use them to help boost your sales and help boost your earnings? And when you utilize them, what kind of a percentage or what kind of reward did you give them for the actual helpers? Okay.
Well, my sister worked in a town about 20 minutes away from me, and she worked in a restaurant. So there was about 20 people that worked with her. So she was one of my helpers, and I gave her 20% free Avon. Then at my old job at Long John Silver's, one of the girls that I trained to become like my replacement, I said, hey, I know you always bought Avon from the lady that used to stop here. I said, would you consider being my helper? And she said, sure. So those are my helpers, and then along the way, I met a woman who said, I used to sell Avon, and she worked in a doctor's office, and I said, would you mind taking a book there? And I picked up 5 customers from there. But, it's funny, the people that were out in this was really nice, is that the people that were out at the doors, they went to jobs, places, and they'd be wearing jewelry or something that they had just recently purchased for me, and they would say, oh, my God, where'd you get that? And they'd say, Avon. I haven't seen an Avon book in forever. And then they took the book to work, and then I got more sales that way. And those people never asked me for anything. They would just do it. But you know what I would do on my own? I'd give them an extra 10% off because, remember, this is my only income, so I can't give a lot of a discount. But I also knew that I wouldn't have that sale if that person didn't help me out. So you have to be appreciative of people helping you.
Absolutely, and with the talking about the jewelry, I'll share real quick something that works well for me is that I will pick up something like that and give it to somebody that works, especially for those of us that do not work corporately and are completely stay at home now. You're not in the big office environment. So if you give it to somebody that a friend or somebody in a big office or a bank or whatever, and say, I'm going to let you wear this piece of jewelry for 2 weeks. If you can sell 3 of them to your friends, you get to keep the one that's on your neck. And you would be so surprised. I do that with fragrance. I do that with Ever, and I let them sell it for me. And you know what also works is that after they have done that for a while, they might say, that's the person that you ask, do you want to sell? Because they're doing it already just by wearing it. So great tip. Just wanted to share real quick because you were talking about bringing that in. So that really does help the sales. So with your helpers,
absolutely.
Did you give monetary money to the helpers, or only free product back to them, or discounts, or did you give them money, or only did you offer that to people that wanted to sell?
No, I only gave them free Avon because the free Avon built my sales. It didn't cost them anything, so they felt rewarded. It's kind of like doing a book party, but they're just doing it every 2 weeks. Right. Knew that they were going to get. And here's the best part: $20. If they had $100 in orders, they got $20 for free. But chances were pretty good it was only going to cost me $10. Right. So I was making $40 on their order.
Working out really, really well. Let me ask you this: when we were talking about, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I missed you.
I just wanted to let you know that anybody that was a helper gets turned into a recruit now that I'm in leadership.
That's true. That's absolutely true.
You know what? They're like doing it for you. They're doing it for you. And how many of us didn't have that phone call like, well, I've been getting orders for somebody, and they never give me anything. So I'm like, don't tell me who they are. I'll just get you signed up.
Yeah, because they never offered. They never said, by the way, because they haven't learned. And so for the people that are on, do not make that mistake of not sharing both because you're concerned about that if you share that they can become a rep on your team, that's going to take away from you and your sales. You're always going to be able to find sales and customers. But if you've got somebody that's doing well for you as a helper, if you have not already asked, somebody else will. And most likely, if they're, of course, loyal to you, they're going to come to you and say, hey, I didn't know I could do this, kind of thing. But you'd be surprised if you don't have a good relationship with them, you'd be surprised that some people just go online and sign up. And then they're like, well, I was helping somebody, but I decided just to do it myself. So you do not want to lose out on because you were afraid to share. So I guess that's my big tip there is make sure you are sharing everywhere and not worried about that because it makes a difference. Let's move on to the next question. Yeah.
I am. I'm so glad because I hate to see that happen.
Yeah, and it does, and that's the sad thing, and we don't find out about it as leaders until we're in conversation. They say, well, for a while I was helping somebody, and you're like, did that person never ask you? And they're like, nope. I'm like, oh, my. And like you said, then you don't want to know who it is because you're like, I hope it's not somebody I know.
I don't want to know.
Right, exactly. When you were talking about Beauty Advisor, because now it's called Pathways, and everybody can get their beauty training for free through Pathways, you mentioned something about beauty bashes. Are you still doing beauty bashes?
Yes.
And what do you mean by beauty bashes?
Yeah, you know what? I guess beauty bashes, the way that we call them is where, and I've only done this with helping my new representatives, I would take some of the best-known products, like the daily needs, and I would go and I would explain like 10 different products so that there's two reasons I do this. Because of the fast start, I'm teaching my new representative about our new products by me speaking to her group of friends. So if you had if you've done a Tupperware party, you invite your friends, they talk about the products, and you make your order at the end. Same concept. So what I do is but I also tell them because of the fact that they only have that they have this great opportunity to get a fast start bonus. Let's see who might want to become a part of their team. I mentioned that they're going to get $25 for that person. Now they're going to have somebody to partner with that they can talk to about our business. And that what I love that I find at my beauty bashes is that if somebody has already used a product, they might say, oh, I used to love that Ultimate and my Avon lady quit. And right there is like, okay, so she just told everybody in the group how much she loves Ultimate. They'll probably ask me about it. And then that's somebody I would tell my new representative, well, you might want to talk to her because she loves Ultimate, and that's a skincare product. That's a repeat. So I tell them about the discount, too. So I think it's a great way to help our new representatives get off the ground. In my head, I guess because I went door to door, I never thought I should have a beauty bash, but once I learned about them from when I got in leadership, I started doing them. And it's definitely, I think every new representative should have that done if they want to. Of course, that's their choice. The reason sometimes they pick Avon is because they don't want to have a party. They just want to show the book.
True. And I think we used to call them grand openings, too, and let them know that they can have a very simple grand opening and just pick 10 key products to share. It's as simple as that. And then, maybe play a fun little game. So it's just like a little gathering. It doesn't have to be a giant thing, but it's just kind of opening the door to your business for your friends and family and neighbors so they can come see what you have and try the products. And by doing so, you find out where your customers are going to be, and you may end up with a few new team members at the same time. So it's a great way to kind of open the door to your new business. Would you say that sales or leadership or both contribute to your full-time salary with Avon? Because I know that you've been a top seller for many, many years. What was the highest that you sold at, Lori?
I sold at David Mcconnell Club level.
Okay, and that's 60. Is that 68?
It was $65,000 back then.
$65,000. So you are making good money with that, and then you started leadership as well. So how long have you been a part of the leadership program? And, you know, would you say that both contribute to helping you make a full-time salary, or would you tell the listeners that if they didn't want to do leadership, they could still get a full-time salary, which is sales, but they'd have to sell X amount to have whatever? What would you tell our listeners in regards to that?
Okay. Well, I definitely have to say that for the first 10 years, that was all I did was I sold. And now, so I had to pay for everything. You know, it was just like I left my job, but now I had to pay for all these things. So I made a living with my Avon business is what I'm saying. I was able to take the kids to amusement parks. I was able to pay for the gasoline in the vehicle, the food, the clothing, all of that. So that's what most people go to work for, to pay for those things. And I couldn't believe that I was able to earn enough money to send them to a private school, which was very pricey. And I know that's why, like, my belief was that the reason I had the courage to knock on the door was because I wanted those kids to go to, first of all, for me to be home with them and to raise them, not to have them raised by someone else, because the job that I had required a lot of hours. Then I found the school, and I said, you know what? All I have to do is earn that money, and I earned that money. So if I needed to make X amount of dollars, I figured it out. But what made me go into leadership, I had heard about it, and I just kind of like didn't, you know, I honestly didn't want anyone else in town selling Avon with me, because then I might not make the money I was making. And I think that that's everybody's possible conception. But when I went to a meeting and I heard that if I turned one of my $20 customers into a $20 team member, a team member, and she sold $20 to 20 people, instead of me earning $8 on the 40-plus commission, let's say I earned anywhere between $8 and $10, so that would be on the sell to her. But if she had 20 customers and they averaged $20 orders, I would net $14 from her. I wouldn't have to stop at her house anymore with her order. I wouldn't have to pack it or anything. And guess what? I thought of people who needed me. So once I heard that, I got a little bit more involved in learning about the leadership program. Once I got all of the facts, like once I understood the program, I asked some questions. So I knew I had to have, I'm not going to give you guys can figure out because it changed from whenever I was in it to you are. But what I realized was that that was the light bulb that it took. Mm-hmm. I already knew how to sell Avon. Now all I had to do was teach people what I already knew. So why wouldn't I go for $14 over $8? So that's what it took. But I have to tell you, when I got to unit later, that was like, wow, that's kind of nice. I remember that, how much money I made from those people. So, and what I'm talking about is it's not like you earn a lot of money off of people, because it's not as much. But what it was like, wow, my first 11 people I was a unit leader in one campaign. I had 11 people. I made $52. Okay, so then, and remember, I had my ducks in a row. So I knew that what I did was I made a list of who do I know that I think might want to do this. And as you grow your business and you learn and develop yourself, you're going to find how to talk to other people. But that was enough for me to see it in black and white to say, the more you do this, the more you double your income, and you double your income, and you double your income. Because once I made advanced unit leader, it doubled. Once I made executive unit leader, it doubled. And once I made senior, it doubled. So it's just amazing, but you have to stick to it.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, that's enough for now.
No, you have to stay very consistent. And $51 is an amazing first unit leader residual income check, because we can hear from people that just have their first 5 and their 5 orders, and I've heard people say they got 10 cents, whatever, and I've heard people say, it was $12. I think mine was, $20 or something, 20-something dollars, my very first one, and I was excited because I was like, it works. That's all. I just thought that it works. wow, it works.
Hey, that little asterisk.
Yeah.
Yeah, the little asterisk at the bottom of leadership says results are not typical. Like everybody is not the same, you know.
Right.
So,
exactly.
But you and I have both. We know a lot of people, and like you said, that checks are usually not that big, not to start with.
Not to start, right. So we want to make sure people know. Now, I will say that something has changed big for all the people who are listening that may just started leadership or just started Avon, or the ones that are in that are candidates, meaning you have not started recruiting yet, or you're, a unit leader still. Hey, they still have the $25. They have $25 checks in it for you when you have a successful recruit that has a $50 on-time paid order. We never had. Here's a little bonus for putting people on and teaching them how to be successful. We never had anything like that. We had a fast start bonus to achieve unit leader in a certain amount of time. For I think mine was $300 to achieve it in a certain time frame. And now they're giving you guys $250 plus leads plus the $25 checks, and now they're putting prizes. I mean, Lori, we've had, iPads and Keurigs, and now we've got HD TVs and popcorn machines. Avon is just trips, right? You've probably went on many, many, many trips.
I know.
Being senior too, right? On Avon's dime.
Oh, yes.
For your hard work. But it's for your hard work. So, and like you said, it's the consistency. People have got to be consistent to be able to earn that income and not to expect it, a month into the business. You really need to put the time and effort into it to make it be a real business and not a hobby. I want to ask you, because we're already down just a few minutes, and there was so many other questions I had for you, but let's just, the final question I have for you, I guess, would be, what advice can you give to the listeners about reaching that point of replacing full-time income with their Avon earnings, other than, we've talked about being consistent, and what are some of the things they can implement today that can help start them in maybe a different direction tomorrow if they've felt stuck or like they're not getting enough customers? What kind of things can they implement now that can start helping them see a difference?
Okay. Well, definitely with I'm going to start with the last part of the question about finding the customers. It is important to, whether you're wearing an Avon pin or if you put a name tag on that says Avon, you need to let people know you're an Avon representative. So if you're shy and you won't say, hey, Susie, I just got started with Avon. Have you seen an Avon brochure lately? Then let something else do the talking for you. Get a magnet that you can pull on and off of your car. Those are relatively inexpensive at Vistaprint. But I believe that if you go in to Pathways and learn about the products, you're going to become an expert. Every What's New has so much great information in it. It gives you, it does the work for you. Even the campaign tools, you're going to find. And when I started out, we didn't have any of that. It was like you had to think for yourself, like, how am I going to sell the products in this brochure? Avon knows we don't have time, and they put all these tools in place for us. And then on the earnings part, guys, I love the sales part because the earnings are unlimited. You really can make as much as you want. In leadership, you really want to get that fast start right away, because why toss it away? Because people need money. You just have to ask just ask everybody. Don't judge. There might be somebody that I know you have to figure out a different way of asking, but you know what? I know we're running out of time, Lisa. I'm going to let you wrap this up.
Yeah, I know. I wish we had more time. Your information is so great, but I just want to remind everybody, we thank you guys so much for being here. Lori, I want to thank you again for being here. Please head over, all the people listening in, head on over to the Facebook group. We can continue the discussion if you've got questions for Lori or want to comment on the shows or what you'd like to see in an upcoming show or hear about. We would love your suggestions. Please stay tuned for our upcoming schedule. We will have that out soon. And Lori, thank you so much again for being here tonight.
Hey, guys, thank you. And, Lisa, thank you for the show. But I do want to tell you, I will not be on the Facebook chat because I'm trying to pack for the Go-Getters
That's right.
cruise.
She's packing. A lot of them are heading off to the first annual Go-Getters cruise tomorrow. So have a wonderful, safe trip, and thank you so much. And you can answer those questions when you can. Thank you, Lori. Good night, everybody.
Peace. Good night.
Thank you for tuning in to Avon WIIFY Right Now Radio with your host, Lisa Monoson. Stay tuned for new shows, guests, and topics airing Thursdays at 6:30.